the global gag. Please share your location or Twitter handle and chat along with us. Any questions you have, I will gladly answer them. I beg of you. Subscribe to your YouTube channel for future events. Enjoy the show!
Hi, welcome so much to our session with Mr. Torrence Williams. He is a 2017 Louisiana High School Teacher of the Year. He is also currently serving as the principal in Bains Lower Elementary, which is a part of West Feliciana, which is in Louisiana. And we are so proud to have him join us and to speak on collective teacher efficacy. And he's going to tell you more about himself. But we thank you for joining us, and we're excited. It's all you, Torrence.
All right, thank you. Hey, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited to be presenting today on something that is very, very important to me, and that is collective teacher efficacy and collaboration. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then from there I'll go into the meat of the presentation. So my name again is Torrence Williams. By all means, call me Torrence. And I am from St. Francisville, Louisiana. I put my maps up there because before I became an administrator, I was a geography teacher. So I'm all about the maps. And I'm from and I work in West Feliciana Parish in Louisiana, which is that little red part right there. And so I'm considered from Southern Louisiana. It's kind of my thing. In any case, this is my 11th year in education. I started out as a social studies teacher. I taught world geography, world history, law studies, civics and free enterprise, and a few other things. And I have been in administration for the last 5 years. So I have been an instructional coach, an assistant principal, and now a principal. This is my second year as a principal. I'm actually principal of a lower elementary school. So I have pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade students. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Actually, before I do that, if you have any questions or anything, by all means, let someone know. Michelle, I know, is there, and there's a couple other people. And if you just need to stop and ask one, I have the chat open. I'm happy to answer questions there. And we'll go ahead and get started. So collective teacher efficacy, I taught for 6 years, and in the entire 6 years that I was teaching, I don't think I ever heard the word efficacy, which is probably my bad. But as an administrator and as an instructional coach, I had to get to know about efficacy because it's so important for students. And when we talk about efficacy, what it is a belief in oneself. And so collective teacher efficacy is all about the teachers as a collective being, having a thought, having the mindset that all students can achieve whatever they put their minds to. And this is very, very important to me because I believe in students receiving an equitable and an equal experience and access to education. So it doesn't matter who the teacher is. It doesn't matter where the child goes to school. They should all be receiving the same high quality education so that when they leave school, they can do whatever it is that they want to do. And I know you see these numbers here. Let me go back. You see these numbers here. And it talks about mean size effect and meta-analysis and all that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And then hopefully give you some insight into what that's about. So you can't have collective efficacy without collaboration, okay? So in terms of collaboration, what that means, what that is when teachers have the opportunity to work in an inclusive community, and they are working toward a common goal, which essentially is making sure that all students can succeed, right? It may be in the form of lesson planning. It may be helping students with special needs. It may be co-teaching in a group or in a class, or any host of different things. So, with regard to collaboration and collective efficacy, it's important to know that there are it's not my students, it's our students. I work in a school where I have 8 pre-K teachers on. I have 7 kindergarten and 7 first grade teachers, and we very much subscribe to these are our students, all of our students, and so we have to do what's best for all the students. And so when we plan with all the students in mind, right? There's no I in team concept, and also a guaranteed and viable curriculum, meaning that it doesn't matter where the students are, it doesn't matter who their teachers are. It doesn't matter where they go to school, but they get access to an equitable and equal. So if you can for me, or answer a couple of questions, and I'll kind of respond to them. Think about your school building, where you teach, where you work. And I want you to comment on what do you think the biggest hindrances to collaboration or true collaboration are in your building? And ultimately, what would you like to improve? Okay, if you can comment in the chat, what are the biggest hindrances to collaboration in your building? What would you like to see improve? And I want you to think about that and comment based upon your school building. If you're not watching this live, like maybe you can go back and maybe you're just getting it on the tail end or whatever. I want you to go back in and just pause and think about that. I think this is a really important question to think about. Why isn't collaboration going the way you think it should go? Absolutely. Stephanie says fear of judgment. About 4 years ago, when I was an instructional coach, my principal and I started the data team process. And the data team process, super intricate process in looking at student data to improve instruction. And one of the hardest things was seeing teachers who had been teaching for many years bring their data and put it on the table for other teachers to see, because teachers they want data to be kept here, but it can't be kept close to the chest because there's no change. No change is happening. It's about putting it out there and looking at everybody's data holistically to say, okay, you did much better than I did. Your students' data is so much better than mine. Tell me what you did so that I can improve. Excuse me. Or just being able to share those instructional practices is so important. Let's see here. Most of the people in my school are shy, very private about what they're doing in their classroom. So I think that is a thought that's been that way for a long time, but we have to shift that mindset because it's what's best for kids, right? Sharing is so important, but so many of them will not share. And complaints, I 100% get it. 100% get it. And it's very easy for me to sit here and talk about, being able to collaborate, but that is truly a culture shift. It's a culture shift, and it's one that's going to be very difficult. It doesn't happen overnight. But like I will say this as an administrator, I feel like it's my job, it's my responsibility to make it okay to share data, even if it's not good. It definitely involves building trust. I agree. Oh my gosh. Stacy said collaboration for best practices are relevant more now because of the pandemic, and I agree. I echo that sentiment 100%. Because students are being educated in so many different environments, being able to share those things is more important now than ever, so that every kid gets that equitable access. We have to be able to commit to doing what's best. Let's see, Barney says people are scared to make themselves vulnerable. I agree. I agree. But you know what I always say? Like, I actually have an alarm that goes off on my phone and it says, am I doing what's best for kids? It goes off every day at 10:15. Um, and sharing is what's best for kids. If it's everything that we do should be about what's best for kids. And you know what? So we have to stop making so many things about us as adults because we've been educated and have college degrees. And so we have to make sure that everything that we're doing is about what's best for kids. That's just the bottom line. All right, I'm going to move on. Y'all keep commenting by all means. Oh, thank you. I have that alarm. It's set every day for 10:15. And it makes me, it just reminds me of what I should do, right? So let's look now at some of the elements of collaboration. And this presentation is called Meeting, Are We Meeting or Collaborating? It's all about collective efficacy. So when we talk about collaboration, it means everybody has a place at the table. And I've been in a school before where I felt like I was very much a part of a collaborative team. You know, it was all about what was best for all the kids, regardless of if they were in my classroom or not. But I've also been a part of just the meeting where we showed up and somebody had already done the plans and we took the plans and went back to our rooms. And that's not true collaboration because, you know, the person who does the planning has the best lessons. And so with that in mind, everybody has to be a part of the table and everybody has to be planning in order to do what's best for kids, right? So let's look at this list of elements of collaboration. So collaboration is voluntary. And I know somebody said in the chat earlier about, people have to be willing. And that's true. Like, it is a complete and total mindset shift. It is a mindset shift. You have to be willing to be helped and you have to be willing to help. Collaboration requires parity among all participants. So nobody is greater than anybody else. At the end of the day, we're all coming here to do what's best for kids. And so we're all equal at this table. We all bring something. Collaboration is based on mutual goals. So we all have to be doing what's best for kids. It's about and I just always think when I come here to do this job, I come here and I do it, and that's what's best for kids. And so the ultimate mutual goal has to be doing what's best for kids, right? Collaboration depends on a shared responsibility for participation and decision making. And so, I said earlier, my first grade, I have 7 teachers. Every one of those 7 teachers has to have a stake in what's happening. And they have to feel like they can be heard. They can be heard without being judged. And that is not the case for many people. Individuals who collaborate have to share their resources. I tell my teachers a lot of times, like they share every week because they have a common planning time. All of my grades have a common planning time. And I would like to say that's something that I came up with, but it's not. My former principal and good friend, Jody Lemoyne, set that up for me. And I wanted that for my teachers in this school so that every day they have an opportunity to, they have to have an opportunity to work together. And in the midst of teaching a Eureka math lesson, if one teacher realizes something doesn't work, then they have a responsibility to the other teachers to say, look, scrap this. This is not going to work. You probably need to say it this way. And that's true collaboration. It happens even without thinking. And also on this, individuals have to share accountability for the outcome. So if it's good because everybody had a stake. If it's bad, then we all take responsibility for how it happened. If the grades are great, that's the win for everybody. If the grades are not great or if the scores are not great, then we still have to share that. So why should we collaborate is the next question. Why do we collaborate? And it's about being able to make those speedy and correct decisions on the moment, which is just like what I just said. If you all have planned, if you are on a team of teachers and you all have planned this lesson together, and somebody is teaching it and they realize that something is not working well for the students, then it's their responsibility to say in the moment, hey, y'all, this is not working. Poke your head out of that door and say, hey, change this because it's not going to work what's best for kids, right? That is so important. So moment by moment basis, being able to know where to next for 20 to 40 students simultaneously, to know how to reliably diagnose and implement multiple teaching interventions, and how to evaluate the impact of teaching on learning. It requires a high level of expertise. And that happens with accurate, with accurate collaboration. Like, it's about being able to do that in the moment. You'll see I quote John Hattie quite a bit, and John Hattie has a host of information out there about collaboration and efficacy. So it's super important to know why things happen, and collaboration is such a huge part to running a successful school. So, in continuing with collaboration, I see some questions there. Okay, in continuing with collaboration, it needs, we have to understand what it makes possible, like what happens as a result of collaborating. And this is just the first list. I have a couple of lists there, and I think it's important to know, like the title says, it's anything but simple. It's not something that happens overnight. Why do you feel, what do you feel is the most important reasons for collaboration? I think that's a great question. And for me, it's about making the best instructional, academic, behavioral decisions for students. Alone we can only do so much, but together we can move the world. So collaboration makes the following things possible. Self-consciously forging constructive interpersonal relationships. Dr. Bill Daggett says that culture trumps strategy. In other words, we can have the best of the best in terms of instructional practices and strategies, but if there are not relationships, if we don't have a culture that's built to move students, then nothing else happens. It's working toward interdependence, meaning we're making decisions together, and we're able to give help, but also receive help. And I had a friend, I want to say several years ago, who told me that if you feel like you've learned everything in education, or if you feel like you've arrived, then it's probably time to go, because we learn so much from each other, right? Sharing information, expertise, observations, reflections. Overcoming territoriality. So I know that at one point there was a time where you closed the door as an educator. You closed the door and you did whatever it was that you did, and that had its place, I'm sure, at some point. But working with students in the current in our current society, we have to be able and willing to share our responsibility, to share our issues, to share things that work. So territoriality has no place in education currently. Also moving beyond egocentrism, right? It's about learning from others. I love those answers. The end result is always about what's best for kids. Correct. Better together. The only reason to collaborate is to learn from others. I love that, Gerardo. Also, a few other things that come as a result of collaborating, of efficacy, is instilling a community-wide expectation of ongoing reflection and PD. The best PD that happens is from other educators. Do y'all agree with that? Like, I feel like everything I've learned about teaching, all the things that I know about being an administrator, it all comes from other educators, like things that they have learned in the moment and have been willing to share with me. Participating in co-planning and co-teaching. One of my favorite things, being able to co-teach with others. And one of my colleagues, Nicole Means, and I, we worked together for many years and taught geography. And that was probably some of the best times in my career, because we did so much together. And I feel like our students were better because of it. Working to improve communication, for sure, with parents, with students, with other educators, with administrators. There's that developing a sense of belonging and membership in the learning community. And I think that is super important, because when we talk about collaborating, when we talk about collective efficacy, we have to be able to realize that we need to be a part of a team, because as a team, we do so much better for kids. We're able to offer them so much more. Like, for example, my experience in education is 11 years, but if I can work with someone who has also been working as an educator for 11 years, and our students get 22 years of experience, right? And I think we just have to think about it that way. And also creating a common vision and a shared purpose. And I always go back to our biggest goal, our biggest purpose is about doing what's best for kids. And I say this to my teachers all the time, especially when we're looking at data. I look for trends in the data. So if I have 7 homerooms of first grade teachers and they all come to the table with their data, I look to see if is their data charted or is it plotted together. Like, is everybody in the 90s? Is everybody in the low 90s and upper 80s? Because what that tells me is that they offered a guaranteed and viable curriculum. Every kid got the same thing, and it's not, I don't have to guess about it. The proof is in the data. If every kid is scoring close together, they're all charted together, I know that the teachers taught the exact same thing, and every kid got an equitable and equal experience to whatever that standard was. So those are the things that we have to think about. Let me get you to discuss something else in the chat. The question is, what are some of the greatest benefits of teacher collaboration in your school building? What are some of the greatest benefits to teacher collaboration in your school building? There are lots of different benefits, but what do you think yields the best? Let's give a couple minutes for that. Or maybe a minute, maybe not a couple. I'll answer it too, y'all. I'm gonna type it in there. Let's see.
I was just reading Stephanie's comment as well, and data could be scary to look at. It's something hard for teachers to swallow sometimes, looking at that, because of course we don't want to be failures and look at the data and be like, oh, it just totally failed.
I agree. Data is very scary. And as educators, we go to school and data is not what we study, right? It's
Right.
not what we do. But to be the best educator, to be able to make those decisions, we have to be able to be friendly with the data. We can't be afraid of it. I absolutely agree. I love this. A true professional learning network, trust better lessons for students. Absolutely. Stephanie, I agree with you. I think also, like we as educators, we just have to think about the fact that this data is about making the best decisions for kids. And it's not like, I oftentimes use the terms like a diagnosis and a prescription, and that's what we get from data. Though we are not medical doctors, we are educational doctors. We have to be able to diagnose what our kids, what the issues are in our kids, and then we have to be able to prescribe what they need. And that doesn't happen without data. I love the data on a date. That's Awesome. Absolutely. I agree, Michelle. Fall in love with the data. I think that's going to be like my Twitter post for the day. I appreciate that, Stephanie. Totally. All right, I'm going to move on here. In terms of collaboration, I wanted you to kind of put some things in the comments about the greatest benefits. Um, and so I'm listing a couple here just in terms of collaborating for our students, what we can get from that. So instruction becomes accessible to all students because frequently one teacher will focus on content material while another might focus on presentation and processing the material. So it becomes a team effort. And that is one of the best things ever. As an administrator, nothing makes me happier than to see my teachers working as a team for the students. And I think it's one of those things that's almost like magic when I see it being broken into parts and everybody says what they will do and then they come back together and it's something to give to them. It's like an educational gift. Collaboration is the best gift, I think, for an administrator. It's the best gift for the teachers and for the students as well. Direct whole class teaching and individualization, can happen, and that can happen because so much planning went into the process, the instructional process. There's more time available to provide students with the assistance because teachers are pooling their educational repertoires, meaning every teacher comes to the table with an expertise in something, and then they're able to share those things. So the students reap the benefits. Greater and more varied ways to check for understanding. It's because of what everybody brings to the table. There's so many different ideas because of, teachers are working together as a team. So that's super cool. And it's always about the students, And, I'm thankful that I found education a long time ago. And I'm here to work for kids. And so if that means that every year or, even multiple times a year, I have to go back to collaboration for myself and for teachers, I'm going to do that because that's what's best for the kids. Increase creativity and lesson planning, meaning there are more ideas come about. Enlarge repertoire of instructional strategies, increased awareness of educational research, shared responsibility for celebrating success and analyzing failure. That's that thing that I was talking about earlier. When you're a team, not only do you have a group of individuals to share your successes, but you also have folks who you can look at why something didn't work. And then you make decisions as a team as to how you go forward. And then there's a better understanding of roles and areas of expertise. I love lesson planning. Like that's one of the things that I love dearly. I love lesson planning. And I love making assessments. For me, I wasn't so great at the presentation part. I've gotten a lot better now. But that was something that my partner could do because we knew our strengths and we brought those things to the table. So earlier I talked about effect sizes when collaborating. So anybody who's not familiar with John Hattie and his work on effect sizes, if you take a look, you can Google it; it's everywhere. Also, there's a couple of books. I'm going to share one of them with you toward the end, but effect sizes are super important, and it's a really great way to look at collaboration and instructional practice. So John Hattie has a huge body of work. If you read his book, Visible Learning for Teachers, you get the basis for it. I'm going to give you a really quick version of it, of the data of how it's looked at, So 0.4, based on John Hattie's work, is equal to 1 year of growth. And so John Hattie collected literally hundreds of samples of data and he looked at how they would affect students. And so, what he was going for, what he realized is 0.4 is the hitch point. And what we want to do is we want everything that we do to at least get to 0.40. We want it to be able to move a kid 1 year within a year, right? But there are some things that move a kid multiple years within a year, and a lot of them have to do with collaboration, right? Working together to evaluate impact has 0.93. That's over 2 years of growth in a year. Moving from what students know toward explicit success criteria, 0.77. That's like over a year. Building trust and welcoming errors as an opportunity to learn. Again, in that in working with a group of people, 0.72. That's over 2 years of growth. Getting maximum feedback from others about their effect. So asking, within your collaborative group of people, asking how something went and getting feedback, over 2 years of growth. Getting the proportions of surface to deep learning correct, 0.71. And down at the bottom there, y'all, that bottom one is collective teacher efficacy, the belief of teachers and their ability to positively affect students. 1.57. Actually, collaboration or collective teacher efficacy is the highest effect size. It can grow students almost 4 years in 1 year. That's teachers working together and having that shared belief that all students can succeed, can grow students 4 years within 1 year. Like, that is incredible. So I want you, I'm gonna tell you in just a second, a couple of things that you can look at, but this is really super important, and it just kind of speaks to how important and how much growth we get from collaborating amongst our peers. Okay, so last one, comment in the chat. How will you use collaboration in the second semester to impact your work as an educator? How will you use collaboration in the second semester to impact your work as an educator? How do you get better? What are you going to take back to your school buildings? Or what would you like to take back to your school buildings? I'll give you just a minute there. Stephanie says that she runs PLCs that focus on agency. We do collaboration with another school and started it last year. Our departments work together to observe one another and ourselves. I love that. And if you go back and you look at John Hattie, when you work in that group, not only do you have an opportunity to implement some of the best practices, but there's also a tremendous amount of reflection. Reflective practice is also something that's huge. And whenever you see what works and doesn't work, then as a team, you can make so many more decisions, so many better decisions, and how to improve student achievement and success, and also teacher success and achievement. I agree, Stephanie. I agree. We have to, and that's why I have that. That's why I have that reminder in my phone every day about doing what's best for kids. And when it goes off, I immediately think about what I'm doing in the moment, so that I can reflect upon, am I doing what's best for kids right now? And if I'm not at that moment, then there's a problem. Most of the time when I look at it, I am. We always have to keep ourselves accountable, but working within a collaborative group is so much more important and also keeps us accountable, right? All right, I'm going to move on here. So that kind of wraps up everything that I have, I wanted to share about collaboration. There's a few other things I want to share with you. One of them is a list of books that I feel like helped me as an educator, as an administrator, and definitely someone who is an instructional leader. And that's some instructional books and some recommendations if I can make to you. The first one is Visible Learning for Teachers. And that has all of those different things. It talks about the impact that things that we do have on instruction in the classroom. And so Visible Learning for Teachers it wasn't a book that I sat down and I read like from cover to cover, but it was a really great resource for me to go through and find, those things. And there's going to be some things on those lists that you question because you're like, wait, we've been doing this for so long, but it has a negative effect size. So I would definitely recommend that. Also, Moving Beyond Quadrant A. Anybody who's familiar with the Rigor Relevance Framework, that's a really excellent book. And it talks about getting how, as teachers, we have to get students beyond just memorizing and get them to that analysis and synthesis process. Really awesome book and a very easy read. And the last two are by my all-time favorite author, or educational author for sure. His name is Baruti Kafele, and he works in New Jersey and has written a ton of books. A lot of them they have something about 50 in it. But the Teacher 50, we at my school did a book study on last year. And it was really cool because it is all about reflective practice. So Stephanie, I know you were talking about that. If you can share that in your school, that book, The Teacher 50, an incredible book about reflective practice. And then lastly, Is My School Better Because I Lead It? So I wish that I was getting money from these people for telling you about their books, but I'm totally not. So I hope that you all take a look at those. I love them. I feel like all of them have helped me with my practice. And I'm happy. I'm going to give you my contact information. If you find something that you think would be cool for me to use, I'd love to hear about that. And ending here, I love this quote. And it just talks about collaboration. It says, unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. So I would ask that you all, I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that it was somewhat entertaining and informative. And if there's ever anything that I can do, please let me know. I am a really big nerd when it comes to collective teacher efficacy and collaboration. I actually am going to be writing my dissertation on collective teacher efficacy soon. So I want to know all the things that there are about it, and I want to continue to learn about it. And I have seen firsthand how important collaboration and efficacy can be on a campus. And so I am a proponent and an advocate for it. And so I'm happy to share this with you if you want it. And lastly, I'm going to share my my information with you. So if you want to contact me anyhow, you can have all of my information. I'm happy to do that. I love talking to other educators about what we do for kids. And I want to continue to learn and continue to grow. And so thank you so much again for having me. And I look forward to working with some of y'all in the future.
We are so grateful to have you, Torrence. It has been an absolute pleasure. And the thing that I just love that you kept reiterating was, is it best for students? And at the end of the day, that is who we work for. That is who we fight for. That is who we struggle and contend and wrestle and advance. And who we collaborate and we seek unity is to build a better world for them, with them. And so
Absolutely.
I love with them, with each other, for and with them. And so, and that's kind of what we kept seeing Stephanie reference a lot with student agency in the chat. And I love that as well. So many great people came out today, and we thank you for your presence, but from all over the globe. And so I thank you, Torrence, and I thank you for giving us the books, and we just appreciate your time. So thank you, sir. You have a great day.
Thanks, y'all.